Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is our in-house analyst, Victoria Pepple, with stories trending around the world. Welcome, Victoria. Good morning.
Hi, Victoria. How are you?
Pink looks good on you, girl.
Fuchsia.
Pink. Crucial pink. I mean, I'm probably like Mr. Bati when it comes to colors.
Okay, what's happening?
As we well know, the British Prime Minister Theresa May met with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja on Wednesday. But what has been recently revealed is that she was wearing a Spring-Summer 18 collection Amy Casbit jacket. Amy Casbit is a Nigerian designer and in 2017 was the recipient of 5 million naira fashion-focused prize at the Lagos Fashion Week. This endorsement has further put Amy Casbit on a prominent place on the fashion map.
This is great news.
It is.
It was trending all over social media. This young designer who won that prize for Lagos Fashion Week.
Exactly.
And now he's everywhere in the whole world.
His name is Emmanuel Okoro.
Emmanuel Okoro.
That's his name.
Yes.
And I hope that one of these days we'll get a chance to host him on this program.
You should.
And, you know, it's also interesting how, you know, local fashion, local fabrics are beginning to gain the attention of the international community. Only recently, Janet Jackson, you know, was decked out in full Ankara and all of that. And maybe there are opportunities, you know, apart from the endorsement of Emmanuel Okoro by Prime Minister May, it's also a promotion, an advertisement, you know, for African fashion, for our textiles, and I hope the people, the relevant people in that industry, you know, will take advantage of it and see it as an opportunity to do a lot more, you know, abroad. I mean, there's this fellow, Moody. You know, Moody has outlets, not just in Nigeria, but also in different parts of Africa. Most recently, he opened a shop in Abidjan, in Côte d'Ivoire. You know, so it's a very good area of entrepreneurship. You know, that
I think the important part is the collaboration with international bodies, because the Lagos Fashion Week is in collaboration with the British Council, which is the reason why this happened for Amy. So
it puts him on a different platform. Yes, and it's very, very welcome. I mean, we know that the arts are very strong in Africa and in Nigeria, but unfortunately, we haven't paid the much needed attention as regards policies, finance, to help grow that industry. So we're hoping that with this...
You're talking about the creative industry, not just fashion.
Yes, not just fashion. So we're hoping that, you know, some attention is paid to that industry, because, I mean, even making our fabrics here is a problem. I mean, you know how much cheaper it would be if we had locally made fabrics that we could design?
But isn't it ironic that when superstars, when major world figures like Prime Minister May, like Janet Jackson, like Beyonce, you know, Beyonce, you know, doing African hairstyle and all that, you know, while they are endorsing what is African, you know, many Nigerian ladies don't want to wear what is African.
Actually,
we are. We're wearing it.
Really? I would like to see you in local fabric someday.
It's just not my style.
It's not your style.
Well, it's not about that. It's just like people have different styles.
There's a few pieces that are designed for the modern woman.
And I wear Nigeria. I think this is a Nigerian-made skirt. It's just not the Ankara feel or the Ankara look that is my style. I just find it loud.
Actually, you wear a lot of Nigerian designers.
I do. Everything I wear almost is made in Nigeria, designed by Nigerians. But it's just not Ankara. That's the only difference.
I would like to see you in Gele, Yoruba and Buba.
That would be the day.
I think I'll be.
I understand. It's not your style.
It's not my style. And I'm already 6 foot tall. Can you imagine if I had a Gele on?
You will look marvelous.
Yes, we can.
No.
You will look great.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll try that for Dr. Abati one day.
So, award-winning actress Cynthia Nixon, best known in entertainment for portrayal of Miranda Hobbs in the HBO series Sex and the City, is running for political office. In a primary debate before the election on September 13th, the Democratic primary challenger, incumbent Andrew Cuomo, both candidates talked about their plans. Cuomo described himself as a progressive who had won real victories against the Trump administration. He had also overseen the legalization of same-sex marriage and the implementation of one of the most stringent gun control measures in the country. On the other hand, Nixon, whilst accusing Cuomo of not being progressive enough on certain issues, such as legalizing recreational marijuana and abolishing U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, she sketched out a future where, while paying higher taxes, New Yorkers could receive universal health care, higher wages, and criminal justice reforms, starting with legalized marijuana. Okay, so we've seen the people from, you know, Hollywood making it into politics.
More importantly, women in politics right now.
I wanted to go back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, who was a governor of California.
Yes.
They said he ran up the bills because he had so many advisors, but, you know, he didn't do badly. So we have a lady this time making it into the political scene, and she seems to have a strong point because she won that debate.
Well, I think the point OG was making is important.
Yes.
The number of women who are coming into politics and who are showing great confidence in the coming Congress elections in the United States. You probably have, you know, a female immigrant from Somalia and from other parts of the world, you know, sitting in Congress. You know, that would be historic if it happens, particularly as she's unchallenged. But in this particular case in New York, it's an uneven competition for the Democratic primary between Governor Cuomo and CYNTHIA NIXON. CYNTHIA NIXON, one, does not have the requisite experience, although some people will say you don't need experience.
She said that, she addressed that.
Secondly, I mean, she has never managed anything big, you know. Yes, co-actor, star on Sex and the City and all of that, you know. Well, if you say so. But if you look at Cuomo's credentials, I mean, big name, you know, big name recognition, a lot of money at his disposal, very strong administrative experience. He's been Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
And he's been governor,
he's been governor 2 times. And he's even one of the persons they're considering as a likely president of the United States in 2020.
He wasn't going to run.
Okay, well, but people are talking about it. You never know. He says he's focused on getting his 3rd term as governor of New York. In terms of performance, yeah, there may be issues. The economy of New York, state of New York may be sluggish, but he's gotten a lot of mileage from the fact that he's one of the major critics of President Trump.
Yes.
You know, Trump attacks him on Twitter and he fights back and he says this is not the kind of man we want as president. So,
well,
I would like to...
debate, how much different was Cuomo from Trump? Because allegations flew back and forth. He accused her of not paying taxes, and these were not substantiated. So how different is he from Trump? Now, he did talk about the fact that she had no experience, and she also responded saying, with your experience, it doesn't mean that you're any better.
Yes, well, he was saying, look, you may be experienced, but we expect you to fix urban crisis, housing issues, to make New York more livable and all that.
And the train stations,
that's the rhetoric of campaign.
You
know, in terms of weight, you know, I think Cuomo stands a better chance.
He might stand a better chance, but he's done 2 terms already. What's wrong with allowing a female who's from another industry?
And I like her stance, even with
no, politics is not about charity. Politicians don't do charity when it comes to power.
Strong points, and she won that debate.
Yes.
She talked about the fact that the train stations in New York, which are very unsightly, are really not nice. I think so. Personally, I think something should be done about those train stations.
Well, I think you're biased. You're supporting CYNTHIA NIXON because she's a woman, right?
No.
So it's two against one on this subject.
For this subject, it's 2 against 1.
I think that he's playing to the public with us. I don't agree. Anyway, moving on to football. Real Madrid and Croatia star Luka Modric on Thursday received the accolade of UEFA Player of the Year in Monaco, beating his former teammate Cristiano Ronaldo and Liverpool's Mohamed Salah to the prize. Modric was very excited at this. Modric started out at Dinamo Zagreb and then had 4 years with Tottenham Hotspur before Real priced him away 6 years ago. His success here, after he was named the best player of the World Cup, confirms that he should be among the favourites to win the Ballon d'Or, a prize dominated by Ronaldo and Lionel Messi over the last decade.
Congratulations to him. Great achievement. It's always good when skills and talent, you know, are rewarded.
Correct.
So hopefully he'll win the Ballon d'Or, and then Lionel Messi and Ronaldo.
Well, that would be a tough call, you know.
Yes, it would be. Give somebody else a chance. All right, so back to Lagos. The police in Lagos arrested 57 men for alleged homosexual activity. They were arraigned before a magistrate court in Yaba on Thursday on 3 counts of conspiracy belonging to a secret cult and unlawful gathering. Following the not guilty plea of the defendants, the magistrate placed their bail at 200,000 naira with 1 surety each.
57 men arrested for
well, you know, the LGBT...
This is a story that came out,
yes.
I think, and now so they're...
I think on Sunday, and yesterday they were arraigned.
They were arraigned, wow.
Well, the LGBTQ movement in Nigeria has always been very critical of the way homosexuals are treated in Nigeria. They think that the relevant laws violate their human rights under Chapter 4 of the Constitution. But the truth of the matter is that same-sex union or homosexuality or sodomy, you know, are frowned upon, are prohibited in the relevant Nigerian laws, either in the Sharia law that you have in 12 states in the northern part of the country, or in the penal code that applies in the northern part of the country, or in the criminal code, sections 204, 214, 215, that applies in the southern part of the country. The definition of relationship in Nigeria is that marriage is interpreted as a union between a man and a woman. Yeah. Okay, and again, the criminal code, the penal code talks about any relationship that is against the order of nature. That means you can't have any relationship that is against the order of nature. The penal code further defines sodomy, you know, and prescribes punishments ranging from maybe about 4 years to the maximum of about 14 years in the various legislations. The Same-Sex Prohibition Act, which was passed by the Jonathan administration, even goes further, that you cannot aid and abet, okay? And you can't even live in the same room, you know, with somebody who is gay, to use that word. Even lesbianism is outlawed in Nigeria. The argument is that our cultural environment does not agree to homosexuality in any form. But the argument is the way persons with gay orientations are treated. One, their rights are violated. The police are, you know, they just don't care. If they see two men holding hands, they are labeled gay and they could be arrested. If they see a gathering of more than enough number of men, they will label them gay persons. And this abuse of the law on the part of the police, and they are labeled gay without even any proper investigation, okay? And people are stigmatized, and then the worst part of it is the violence against persons, oftentimes on the basis of suspicion, you know, and so the violation of the basic rights of persons who are suspected. Because one of the boys who was arrested was saying that, look, he's not gay. It's just that he's HIV positive, that's the only problem he has, but he's not gay. So why are they giving him a label that does not belong to him? So I think it's an area of law in Nigeria and of social concern that Nigerians will continue to look at as our society evolves.
Yeah, what do you think about the laws? Do you think that it should be reformed? Or what do you think?
Are like these laws are infringing on human rights. But we have a deep culture that is rooted in what Mr. Abati has explained. So Mr. Abati, as OG said, you think that these laws should still stand, or you think that...
Well, it was part of my job as presidential spokesman to explain the same-sex prohibition and Marriage Act. And the issue was that, in fact, I became a target of attack by the LGBT community in Nigeria. You know, eventually, when they had their major lecture about 2 years ago, I was invited as the guest speaker at the occasion, and I delivered a very lengthy paper, which was reproduced by this day newspaper. My argument, basically, is that, look, even in applying the law, you must respect the rights, the basic human rights of the persons who fall under that special category.
But the law already is
because the Constitution, the Constitution is the supreme law. The Constitution recognizes the basic rights, basic fundamental rights of every Nigerian, okay? And there is nowhere that the Constitution of Nigeria expressly says, you know, gay persons are protected. So when you do certain things on the basis of mere suspicion, you violate their basic rights, and the Constitution is the supreme law. So there is that gray area.
What about the way we are perceived because of this law from developed countries? I remember during the Johnson administration, there was talk about us respecting the rights of people. AIDS coming to us might be affected by this law. What do you think? Then how do you think the international community views us as regards this law?
Well, the international community, of course, does not like many of these countries, I mean, you must have been following the argument, persons being discriminated against on the basis of sexual orientation. And there are scholars who have written papers to say that, look, the cultural argument, the type that we pushed at the time, does not really hold water. That this is the academic side of it. That you have instances of, you know, gay behavior, gay conduct in African communities, okay? But the position at law in the countries that oppose homosexuality in Africa is that this is against African culture. Yeah. And when this was put to debate in the National Assembly in Nigeria, you know, before they passed the law, the bill, you know, and asked that the president should assent to it at the time, their argument was similar. They were saying, no, this is un-African. We don't accept this. But people in Nigeria who say, look, the government is being hypocritical, they say that indeed there are many homosexuals in Nigeria. It's just that they are either driven underground, you know, and they are made victims of torture, of undeserved violence.
All right, let's move on.
But as our society evolves, we'll continue to deal with this.
Yes, we will. All right, so moving on. Davido seems to have settled in at the National Youth Service Corps camp in Iyanopaja, settled down properly. So he was cited, you know, there are pictures of him performing.
Yeah, we saw that in the headline.
Yes, pictures of him performing and having fun and all of that. So.
You sound like you would have loved to be there to listen to Davido.
I'm done. His presence caused quite a stir. Security personnel had a hard time controlling fellow corps members and NYSC staff rushed to take a glimpse of the popular musician. His mates got the opportunity to hear him address them and share good music with them. So, you know, there's a picture of him with a mic, there's so many people sitting on the floor, pictures of him doing his registration and all of that. He seems to have gotten into the culture of the NYSC.
You could see from the pictures that he was enjoying himself.
Yeah.
But I have a question, though.
I hope did he go to the camp with Chef Shoma?
Chef Shoma
should visit him. In fact, that will create more fun.
I have other questions.
Because the man is in love.
The question is this, right?
What is it?
Is he going to sleep in camp? I know what the conditions are. I served some few years
And you
ago.
have to sleep in the camp.
Right. Is he going to sleep in camp? Is he going to use the bathrooms in the camp? These are questions I just want to put out there.
Well, I mean, the facilities there should be good enough. I mean, if you are serving, you stay in the camp.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, they may bend backwards for him to make his own arrangement.
Yes.
You know, I mean, in our time, I remember that we used to wake up as early as 5 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would like to see...
chased out of bed.
I would like to see Davido doing the drill, you know,
exactly.
and marching, you know,
I'm sure
and responding to move to the three in three, sleep,
I can't remember that part.
Oh, that means you didn't pay enough attention.
I actually marched. I just can't remember. All right,
we have to do a throwback picture. So bring us a throwback picture of you marching, and then we'll believe you.
So that's all that was trending.
Well, thank you so much, Victoria. Up next on our take, we'll be discussing the national issues with Victoria. We'll take a short break now. Don't go away.